Hello, everybody, and welcome to Real Movie Talk. This is the show where we talk everything films in the industry that surrounds them. I'm your host, Dec, and with me, as always, is Ben.
Welcome to the podcast.
And in this week's episode, we have a special guest in the form of my very good friend and also other fellow co-host, Dan McCants, otherwise known as Mealcake Media.
You say fellow co-host. I do nowhere near enough to deserve that title.
No,
I'm just the guy.
Very true.
I'm just the guy that hangs around in the background,
Yeah,
does
very,
nothing.
very true. Like I say, you do the countdown, and then you offer a few quips here and there.
Yeah,
and then that's it.
Yeah.
That's how you earn your wages.
Yeah, I mean, provided it's very, very, substantial in minuscule, but overall means jack all. Yeah, I'm just there to be the one that looks like an idiot, so that this guy is talking right now looks smart.
Yeah, you're the pretty face. You're the journeyman to to my rock. Anyway.
Oh, why? Thank you.
Anyway, as always, we'll be going through all the week's news. Quite a quiet week for news, but all the news that is there is actually pretty substantial and pretty exciting. So we'll be diving into all that. And we'll also be doing reviewing the new film from Marvel Studios, which is, of course, Captain Marvel. Not controversial at all, but we'll get to that. With all out of the way, let's jump into the news. So let's start off with a couple of trailers that we got this week. First off, we got a new trailer from Disney for Aladdin, directed by Guy Ritchie. Obviously, Aladdin has been rather controversial so far, and the first trailer didn't please most people, causing many memes to be produced outside, including me completely changing my own Twitter page surrounding the meme. But we have a new trailer which has seemed to be sitting a bit better with people. What did you guys think? Let's start off, Ben. What did you think?
Oh, obviously I'm a bit biased because I was on the set and stuff, but so the first trailer I liked. It was just a small teaser, setting up Agrabah and stuff. And then the second one, I can agree, very good, and I wasn't very convinced at that part. But then I loved this trailer. I thought it was really, really good. It really sort of touched me, especially with the songs. I really appreciated that they put it in. And from what I know, they're apparently amazing at singing, especially Naomi Scott. Apparently she's amazing, just a heads up. But I really like this trailer. It really worked for me. And it sort of was reminiscent of the old Aladdin, but it also had, the Guy Ritchie touch, and it felt very alive and active, and I really, really liked it.
Yeah, it was a good trailer. I think, I think it did quite a lot right in terms of convincing people, because obviously a lot of people have been kind of on the fence about this. I think out of all the Disney live action remakes, this is the one that people are a bit shaky on. For me, I'm a bit more worried about Dumbo, but
yeah, same. Me too.
That's a different situation. I've actually got my tickets booked for that now because it comes out next Friday, and I'm debating whether to go or not. The only thing I want to go see in that movie is Michael Keaton, and that's it. But for me, this trailer was, it was definitely an improvement. Like, it gave a bit more of a stronger feel as to what the movie was going to be like. I think, Will Smith got a bit more of a stronger focus, both out of blue and in blue. There was even a supposed Fresh Prince reference in there, which was quite funny. I mean, personally, I think Will Smith is a good choice for the genie. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think Will Smith is a good choice?
I don't know. Let's just say after the first teaser trailer, I was like, not convinced. But then again, that was probably because of the visual effects around it. I was just laughing afterwards. Watching this, I'm definitely more convinced by it. I think he's definitely got the charisma and charm for it because it's just natural to him. I think because he's got that makes him so much more, I guess, suitable for the role. Again, it's just because it's a trailer, you can only really base it off of so much. But I thought he was a lot better in this. So I just think in general, the trailer did a lot better of a job of selling me the concept of a live action Aladdin film. I don't know. I'm still a bit cautious, only because with Guy Ritchie as a director, he's someone who can either make a really good film or a film that just completely sucks. So I'm just hoping it's going to be one of his stronger films. But I'm still looking forward to it nevertheless. But like you guys say, I'm more concerned about Dumbo because I've seen the trailers for that. It's just like, nah, not looking forward to it. Yeah.
And quickly, in regards to Guy Ritchie, again, obviously I was there. I saw him and I've been around him, whatever. But and this is not me seeing the film or anything, I haven't seen it. Apparently this is one of Guy Ritchie's better films. Ooh. That's what some people were saying. Apparently, it's one of his better films, and he's done a good job with this.
Mm.
The way I look at it,
That's
is
just-
the only way is up after King
Yeah.
Arthur.
Yeah.
Actually, kind of.
I
I enjoyed it.
I actually
enjoyed
liked
it.
King. I actually
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. Like, it wasn't anything.
CGI was just the worst thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but I liked it overall. I liked the
Yeah,
fact
same.
it was quite gritty. You know, it was kind of this different take on it. You know, I don't think it was meant to be this like grand, like fantastic film in terms of like, oh, it's like a 10 out of 10. It was just there to be this different take on it. I really enjoyed it. It's just a shame
You
it.
know what it suffered from?
What?
The Aquaman syndrome.
What?
Right?
So-
Because as soon as there was a giant CGI elephant, I check out of the movie.
Oh, no, no,
Just
I'm
like
not
the
buying
giant
this.
octopus, you know. I
No.
check out.
I still don't buy that excuse of yours. It's like, oh, I saw the CGI octopus. I immediately checked out of Aquaman. That's bullshit.
No, there's no need for the octopus. There was no need for the elephant.
It was a reference to the comics, man.
But anyway, Guy Ritchie, I do like some of his other work, like Lock, Stock, and also The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I really like.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can pull this through. I like this trailer, and I quite like the first trailer, to be honest. I really like the look of the world. I think it looks really good, visually, and I feel like, you know, the elements like Ben said, the music. I think that was really good, bringing that in, showing what that's going to be like, because it sounded very, very similar to the original as well, music wise. So I think this was a good trailer. I actually personally am quite excited about Aladdin. I think out of all of the Disney live action ones, like I say, Dumbo, I think is worrying. I think Lion King.
You can't go wrong, surely. You
I
can't go wrong.
I honestly think with Lion King, it could go either way. I think people are either going to love it or they're going to hate it.
I think it's sort of going to be like a Jungle Book. I haven't seen it because I love the original so much I couldn't take myself to see it, but I'm definitely going to see The Lion King. But I think it's just going to be quite safe, and it's going to be a nice experience, I reckon. That's why I get the hint at. And I think Aladdin is going to be quite different. I think Dumbo is going to be quite different from the originals, so it's going to be like... I
literally just got back from the cinema and they had the trailer on for Dumbo. I'm just watching it going, I have no feelings for this movie.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, just quickly before we end off on Aladdin, I have to say, the dance scenes, like, I know it doesn't show much in the trailer, but being there, right, and the freaking dancers around me, and I was just like, holy shit. Yeah, that's all I'll say.
It felt like a bit of a production going on. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, the musical aspect of the film will be good, especially if you say like Naomi Scott is a really good singer.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like Naomi Scott already. Like, she's already got brownie points for me just coming out of Power Rangers. I thought she was great. Although I do love that movie. But
Me too.
Stop sighing, Dan. Just like, okay, let me reverse something on you over there, right? Let's just, you know, the film wasn't meant to be great. It wasn't meant to be, you know, this big thing. It was just meant to be a different take.
I loved it.
All right, it's not terrible. It's just like, it's very run of the mill for me.
Fine. But anyway, moving on to the other trailer we got this week, arguably bigger and set Twitter alight, and that was the new trailer which came out of nowhere for Avengers Endgame. Like, there was actually no promotion for this. There was no tease or build up. I literally was just on Twitter and it was there, and I was like, holy shit. So this new trailer for Avengers Endgame starts out really cool as we get to see, you know, the kind of a visual aesthetic they've been sticking with so far with the marketing, where they have the black and white and then just the red showing through, and we get to see kind of like, you know, the origin movies for Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, and then it eventually goes into new footage. This is all really cool stuff, like seeing just how the Avengers are like just trying to react to this and how desperate they are. Like, that's what I think. It's just a real sign of desperation. Like, especially like that shot at the end of Cap. Oh, that gave me chills. Like,
God,
that was brilliant. That was brilliant. And we even get a bit more Hawkeye in this as well, just before his family faced the dust. And you see that people think that scene is going to be the opening scene of the movie, like Hawkeye training his daughter, and she's going to fade right in front of his eyes.
Yeah, I reckon so. Something like that.
That's going to be horrible. Like, he's just training his daughter, the arrow's going to fire, and it's just going to fade into dust. Oh my god. These Marvel movies, man, not for kids. Yeah, but what did you guys think about this trailer, Dan?
The thing was with me was like, I'm the same as you. I had no idea this trailer came out, and then what it was in the middle of work, and then I couldn't watch it because I had no Wi-Fi, so I had to wait until about 6 o'clock to watch it. I had to stay off the internet so I didn't get spoiled, and I was the same as you. I was just blown away because the thing is with this trailer, it does use quite a fair amount of much more so just trying to get more of the emotion out of the audience, which I think has been working really well so far with the trailers. Like they've just done such a great job of it. Like you said, that scene where it's Cap just strapping up his shield. Oh my god! Like man was like about to physically cry during that. It was just so good. And then, like you say, it's just a lot of quick snippets, not really giving you much context in terms of the story, but it's enough to really get you ramped up for it. That's just all it really is. But I'm hyped it anyway. This trailer could have been pure garbage, and I would have still been hyped for it. I just the fact it was as good as it was emotionally, just I can't wait for it. I'm just hyped, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's easily my most anticipated movie this year. But what did you think, Ben?
I loved it. I thought it was really good. I didn't really. I know the TV spot is supposed to be short, but that really didn't work for me. That short TV spot at the Super Bowl. So I was like, I don't know. But obviously, I'm super excited still for the film. And then when this came out of nowhere, I was just, I was on my phone, and then I saw, Avengers Endgame trailer. What? And I had to sort of just double check for a sec. Yeah, I was just looking back and forth. I was like, oh, this is real. Had no idea. Anyway, so it was surprise, and I really, really enjoyed the trailer. I thought it was really good. I thought it really sort of touched on, the emotional levels of what's going to be happening in the film, and also about the Captain America scene. I loved that, but also like seeing Ant-Man and stuff, like looking at the posters and them all together in the suits. Although I don't think the suits like look the best, I think the idea of them like going to the quantum realm is really exciting to me. And that final shot, though, I love that final shot with Thor and Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I think that like seeing all these different elements, like say, I really like that shot of Ant-Man, like because I didn't actually notice it until the second time I watched it, but I didn't realize that he was stood in front of his house, and like seeing how it's all overgrown and stuff like that. I was like, that was a really good idea, especially because he looks really confused, and I think that obviously that's going to link up to the fact that he was stuck in the quantum realm, and he's going to come out, and there's going to be a time jump. And he's gonna like obviously he's gonna be in the quantum realm, and when he comes out, the world's just gone to shit. And I think that's really interesting. The fact he's walking around just confused, and all of his family's gone, and all of his friends are gone. So I like that. And then yeah, we do get like our first official look at the quantum realm suits. Yeah, I do agree that when I first saw it, my eyes kind of went a bit like, ugh, because they're a bit ugly looking. But then the more I see them, the better they get for me. They just yeah they do look a bit out of place, and they do look a bit they look very CGI, like very like
Yeah.
they're just kind of like planted on, like they're just stuck on the actors. Especially Rhodey's like War Machine. Like, he's got like
Yeah.
an Iron Man version of it. Is really weird to me. But I still think that this movie, it's still my most anticipated movie of the year. I'm so hyped for it. I just it's just this build up, like the MCU building up all these films, and then that cliffhanger at the end of Infinity War. It's such a it does feel like it's the end of an era, and I just can't wait to see how it does all end, and then how it sets up for the next era of the MCU. It's going to be really, really exciting, and it's just like it's such an exciting time for fans as well. I can't wait for that opening night, because I mean I remember the opening night for Infinity War. It was insane, and I'm sure Endgame's going to be the same. So I think this is going to be great. And yeah, this trailer definitely did a lot for me. So anyway, we also have some news regarding a film coming out for Marvel in Phase 4, which is the Shang-Chi film. This was announced a while ago. We now have the director, which is Destin Cretton. He's directing the film. And this also, interestingly, kind of links back into Marvel as well, because he directed a film previously which starred Brie Larson. But Ben, do you know a bit more about this guy?
Well, I haven't watched any of his films, but from looking at his resume, he's got a very good resume, and Marvel likes to get these independent filmmakers to get in, and they like to bring them up and sort of like let them to what they want to do and so on. But resume, I'm very confident in him. Again, I said this a while ago. Definitely didn't like it, get a good director. It didn't really matter to me if it was Asian or anything like that. Me being part Asian myself, I really, really didn't care. It's just like, get a good director, and they got a good director who happens to be Asian. So that's fine. That's good. And I have trust in him because, like I said, apparently Short Term 12 is amazing. And the Glass Castle's supposed to be pretty good as well. And again, maybe he teams up. Maybe he does an Avengers film in the future, and back with Brie Larson. They obviously work very well together. So yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, I don't think it's a cool idea getting this guy because again, like you say, Marvel they like to take chances. I think on like smaller, sort of more indie style directors, and that's why. And they've produced great results. Like obviously, like Taika Waititi with Thor Ragnarok, and obviously like Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck for Captain Marvel. Like obviously they directed things like Half Nelson, which is quite an underrated film, and things like that. So I think Marvel they do like to take chances on these people. So them giving the chance to give this big budget to a guy like Destin Cretton, I think is going to be an awesome chance for him. And I just really hope that this film is something different and unique. Because the thing is with the MCU is even though I think a lot of the films do stand alone and do have a lot of good good at their own elements, I think they really need to just start evolving a bit more beyond the kind of typical MCU kind of formula, which I think a lot of the films have been getting slammed for recently, especially like Black Panther and Captain Marvel. So I think they need to do something a little bit different, and hopefully that this guy will be able to deliver that, especially with Shang-Chi, who's such an interesting character and someone very, very different from the MCU. But what's your opinion on this, Dan?
Literally nothing, because I didn't even know the character existed until you just told me.
Did you know he was in this film?
I honestly had no idea it's happening. I mean, I heard that the director had been attached to a Marvel film, but I had no idea what it was for, and I never heard of this film beforehand. Like that this film was happening in Phase 4.
Yeah, it was announced. When was it announced? Like a couple months ago. They were making this film, and then yeah, they just announced the director.
Yeah.
Do we have any casting predictions for the lead role? I'd like to put forward Ludi Lin.
Lee Lin's a good pick. He's really good in Power Rangers.
Yeah,
I really, really liked him.
I
But
want to see him in the lead role.
let me think.
I'm trying to think who else.
Do you have any other ones?
Do you have any thoughts, Dan? Any predictions?
No, because like I said, I didn't even know the character existed.
It's an interesting one. I think Ludi Lin is like my front runner just because I mean again he really impressed me in Power Rangers. He was the Black Ranger. I thought he was.
How young is the character supposed to be?
I think in his like mid-20s.
Because otherwise, I would say, I was really impressed by John Cho last year, but he's a bit older.
Oh, I love John Cho. Yeah. Oh, I love John Cho. What about Henry Golding?
No, not like I said. I'm not too convinced with him.
See, I really like him. I don't know if I'd see him in that kind of role though.
I don't understand how people are putting him forward for like these action roles when he hasn't done anything like that yet. But everyone needs to have a chance, I guess. But
I really liked him in Crazy Rich Asians. I think he's really likable. And again, so like this, I feel like Henry Golding has got a big career ahead of him, and I think maybe like this could be a big step for him. But yeah, he hasn't exactly proved himself as an action star yet, so yeah, it's an interesting one. But I mean, I'm sure we'll get the casting within the next sort of year or so, and we'll find out more information about this film maybe at Comic-Con this year, things like that. I'm hoping at Comic-Con this year we get the full Phase 4 slate like they did it for Phase 3.
Yeah, hopefully.
Is Comic-Con before or after Far From Home?
Far From Home, when's that come out?
Because I think that's early July.
Oh, if Far From Home, it says, oh no, it doesn't say. Well, if it's early July, that means Comic-Con comes after.
Well, I think they could like announce
August.
The slate then.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's 5th of July in America. So yeah, that will be before Comic-Con.
I think they can announce the slate. I think that'd be fine.
Well, it makes sense because they'll be finished with the slate right now. So
yeah, because like the reason why they haven't announced anything is because they don't like they haven't announced the Doctor Strange sequel officially. They haven't really announced the Black Panther sequel. They've said it's happening. Like both of those films they've said are happening, but they haven't officially sort of come out and say it because they didn't want to spoil things. So I feel like you can just come out and yeah, I think it'd be fine to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, moving on to some more Marvel news, and this was news I never thought I would see. James Gunn has been officially rehired to direct Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Obviously, we already knew they were going to be using his script, but they are now rehiring him to direct the film, and supposedly he was never actually fired.
Hmm?
Have you guys heard this story?
I heard that they got him back a few months ago, but I didn't know there was a rumor that he never got fired.
Well,
I think he did.
Well, I think he did, but the rumor is that because of the whole Disney Fox merger, they didn't want any bad press or bad buzz surrounding them during that potential, buying period. So they said, "Oh, he's gone," but then on the download, they were like, "Oh no, he's really still here. We're just saying that." I don't buy that personally,
No.
because there are other things that have, like, Kevin Feige have said and things like that, and that higher ups at Disney have said that don't really line up with that. Like, there are things that, like, people have come out and said things that you wouldn't have said if he was still around. But regardless of all that, I mean, this is great news. Like, I'm so happy that James is back. Like, this is his franchise. It's so him. Like, he created it. It's his baby. Without him, I don't know what Guardians 3 would have shaped up to have been.
Want to go first, Dan?
Yeah. I mean, like everyone else, I was just, I'd always wanted it to happen, but it was kind of the thing of, like, how stubborn were Disney going to be? So when I saw this news, I was just blown away because, like you say, James Gunn is so integral to what we've seen of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, had that first film not happened, because it was really like kind of the first big risk Marvel had taken with the MCU, because it was like the first film where not everybody really knew the characters going in, like, from a general audience standpoint. And, he made it work so well. And, people have different opinions about Guardians 2. I personally really like it. And so I feel like when they just, like, took the franchise away from him, this thing that he'd created and this thing that he'd basically gained all of these new fans from because of his films on these characters, it just felt very stupidly reactionary from Disney, because obviously there was the whole thing about, his old tweets, which, yeah, they were bad at the time. The jokes weren't funny, but they were 10 years ago, and it was just, I just felt like Disney were just pushing on that, like, reactionary train of being like, oh God, everyone's making noise, let's just get him off the film. But like you say, he really was integral to this. I just don't think Guardians 3 would have worked without him. And I think it's nice that, he gets to actually complete this trilogy that he started. Because I think, if I remember this correctly, I think if he directs Guardians 3, he'll be the only MCU director at this point to have directed all 3 films in a trilogy. Yeah. If I remember off the top of my head, yeah. Because I don't think, because Jon Favreau, he didn't direct Iron Man 3. That was Shane Black. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's just nice to see that a director has his vision for all 3 films of a trilogy. He gets to see it through. So I'm just happy for that. And I'm just happy that it shows that Disney aren't just being very restrained on people who've maybe got a bit of a dodgy past. Because, I mean, like Robbie Downey Jr., anybody who searches up him knows about, his numerous stuff he got up to in the 90s when he got arrested and all of that. And you look at what he did with Iron Man. Disney took a risk hiring him, and now he's arguably the biggest star of the entirety of the MCU. So I'm just happy he's back. And I'm just happy that Disney have seen sense and finally realised that, it was a bit stupid of them to fire him in the first place. So I'm just really hyped for it. It's just a shame now we'll have to wait a while for Guardians 3, because obviously, he's got Suicide Squad 2 in the works. So we'll obviously have to wait.
I think that's great, though. I love the fact that he's directing Suicide Squad and Guardians. We're getting 2 amazing superhero movies from an incredible director. I think, especially because we got some news. I didn't include this in the news slate, but we got, like, some first little details about the members of his version of the Suicide Squad. And again, it's just so deep cut. It's so weird, and I love it. And the fact that we're getting both of these movies from him, awesome.
This was another thing, like the Avengers trailer. When I saw it, I just had to double check quick. I was like, "Huh? What?"
Yeah, like, I saw it. I was like, "What? Really?" It was crazy.
It was. So I didn't like Guardians Volume 2, but I really liked the first one, and I think, with what they planned with James, like, I was like, oh damn, that's a bit of a shitty move to, fire him. I know he had some jokes or something on Twitter. I didn't look into it properly, but they were like, oh, we're going to do all these films for James. James is going to sort of lead the cosmic MCU, and then they fire him, and I'm like, okay, all right, what are they going to do now? But it's very exciting to see him back, and I'm very happy because now I'm sort of like, okay, so Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is in good hands.
Yeah.
You know, because before I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. You know, it could be a mess if he's not there or anything.
Yeah, like
I was
it,
just
it,
I was
it's
just
it's it was
happy.
gonna feel strange without James doing it. Like there was because like I mean we discussed this on here before, Ben. We were speculating about who could direct the film, and we just couldn't come up with a good choice because again it's so James Gunn that no one else could touch the franchise. So it's good that he's gonna be able to finally close off the trilogy. And the thing is, James Gunn is so important to the MCU. Without him, we wouldn't have been able to get films like we wouldn't even be able to get like Infinity War in the way that we did. We wouldn't have been able to get Captain Marvel and things like that. It's just these cosmic movies we wouldn't have been able to get without James Gunn. And just the fact that he's back is great. I mean, I have to say though, did you guys see Taika Waititi's tweet about it, where he
Yeah.
said,
Yeah,
I,
that was
what,
funny.
what the fuck? I thought I was directing this." That was a great tweet. But yeah, fantastic news. And again, I just couldn't believe what I was reading when I saw it. I'm just gonna be interested to see if Dave Bautista gets cast in the Suicide Squad. See if that
I think he actually will. I
yeah,
think he
Yeah.
they
will.
want him. They want him for Peacemaker, don't they? In the cast, so
Yeah,
that'd be fun. Now going over.
it's exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. So going over to DC, we have that a new Flash writer is coming in again. This time we're having the duo of Grant Morrison, who is of course a famous comic book writer, and the Flash himself, Ezra Miller. They are rewriting and I quote, darker take on the script, which is going completely against what John Daly and Jonathan Goldstein are looking to do. Uh, uh, I don't even know where to go with this. I mean, The Flash. I mean, I want this movie more than anyone else. I mean, I love The Flash. I want this movie. Um, but I mean, I would be lying if I said that I liked Ezra Miller as The Flash. I don't. I think his Justice League portrayal was horrific. But the fact that he's writing it, I think is crazy. Like the fact that he's basically, I mean, John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein have a script. It's written, but the fact that he basically what this screams of again, which is a problem that has just plagued the Flash movie, is creative differences. And now Ezra Miller isn't happy with the script that he's been given. And I mean, no offense to Ezra Miller, but I mean, he's no judge when it comes to this. Like, he has a massive misunderstanding of the Flash character as is. And this is further proved by the fact he's like, oh, let's go for a darker tone. The Flash isn't a dark character. Like, we've all seen what happened on The Flash season 3 when it tried to go dark. It doesn't work. Like, it's ridiculous. But what do you guys think about this?
It just stinks, man. It just stinks of a film that's just got no idea what it wants to be. Like, it's weird because think about it. This film was meant to be in production like what 2 years ago, and it's like still
it was meant to come out in March of 2018.
Still, like, hasn't got a solid script. There's nothing really all that concrete about it in terms of, from a script standpoint. I just find that ridiculous, like how they've allowed a film to just fall apart like this in a planning stage.
And I think the story is a bit stupid. Like, I'm happy that he's in it because he's a really good Flash comic book writer. But Ezra Miller, he's never written a screenplay. Like you said, Declan, he was the worst thing about Justice League, in my opinion. And the Flash, Barry Allen, is my favorite comic book character, along with Batman. So the fact that I'm not excited for a Flash film is like, it's weird. And I to do with the darkness, I actually like the darkness as well. I like a bit of a balance. Like, if you remember the Flash season 2, like, we had Zoom, he was like really dark, and then we had the lighter moments and stuff like that. I like the mix, and I think there should be a mix, because I think the Flash in Justice League was just way too light. He was just way too happy. So
he was weird.
I can see,
He was like an emo. It was just so odd.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just all over the place, and I think maybe it's a good thing that they're rewriting it to make it darker. But the thing is, I think the directors of this film, John and Jonathan, they did an amazing job with Game Night. Game Night was so good, and so they have the comedy chops. They've got that, but that in them, because I love Game Night. not work with the Flash. I think that may be on the lines too much like a Justice League type of Flash that they were going for. It's kind of a bit similar. I don't know if it will work in terms of them, but for more of like a Shazam route, I think that could really work if they go full on for it.
I think the tone for Shazam is perfect for the Flash. I think that's what they should go for.
Yeah, they could do that and they could make that work. But personally, I would prefer a more sort of balanced, like bit of darkness, bit of comedy myself.
I mean, the thing is with the Flash, you do need a bit of darkness in there because you do like the origin story. You need to, his mother is murdered by the Reverse Flash. You need to do a bit of that. But then it depends. Are they doing that story? Because they might not even be dealing with the Reverse Flash. In which case, you don't really need to tackle that as much. You need to say it because you need to get it ticked and done, but you don't need to focus on it as much if you're not going to do the Reverse Flash, which personally I don't feel like they will. I feel like that's so much to do in one movie. I feel like that'd be a lot. I feel like they want to focus on just like a one-off villain, like because the rumor was like a year ago they were going to do Dr. Light as the villain.
And they need to do Reverse Flash, surely.
Yeah, I think they need to do Reverse Flash, and because I'd love to see that suit in like a proper good version of that suit.
And they need to get a new Flash suit. That suit is shit.
Yeah,
it's not great. And also that we're talking about Ezra Miller. Like rumors as well is that if this script doesn't go through, I believe they said is that Ezra Miller might be out of the job and they might be recasting him, which is interesting because
I wouldn't be mad.
Recast Deadshot.
No. Yeah.
Like they just recast.
I wouldn't be mad.
To be honest, though, I'd be really happy if they recast Ezra.
Yeah, it really wouldn't bother me either because it's like you say, I wasn't a particular fan of him in Justice League. It was weird because the first time I watched it, I was like, it's all right, but then the more I rewatch Justice League, the more I'm just like, yeah, it just doesn't work because he sticks out like a sore thumb, like trying to be the light-hearted person, but it doesn't work because half of his comedy is awful, the other half of it is just too cringy.
It's weird.
I
liked him in in that brief little scene he has in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, he was great in that.
Good. That's like the line, the timing. It was great. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, I'm down for this. But then, even in the trailers for Justice League, I thought he was good. And then I was just like, then the movie came out. I was just like, who is this just introverted freak?
It's probably the reason we probably liked him in Suicide Squad was because we couldn't see that absolutely retarded run of his in Justice League. Oh my god, that absolutely triggered me in the cinema. I'm like, who runs like that? Who runs like
Flash actor? Like it's the same on the TV show. Why can nobody run properly? Like I don't understand.
Grant can.
Yeah,
Grant's all right. Yeah,
Grant is all right.
But Jessica Parker Kennedy can't.
It's awful. It was dreadful. But like. Look at Quicksilver in X-Men Days of Future Past. Like that's really good. Like he runs normally. Like I don't understand this thing where like some people think the speedsters have to they're supposed to be the best runners on the planet. Or unless are we wrong? Are we doing it wrong? Is that what they're trying to tell us?
We're running wrong.
Yeah, are we as a society not doing it right?
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, this news is incredibly interesting. I'm definitely excited to see where it goes. Hopefully, because it might lead to the recast. But
if they do the recast, that would be, and that'd be pretty good, And
I think it's because they're really heavy and on basically just rebooting the DCEU. I think.
Yeah.
I think so.
They've recast Deadshot. That's now being played by Idris Elba. Great choice, by the way. So yeah, I think they should just go for it.
Yeah, I reckon so. And if they do a recast, I'm just going to pull out a name. I know this will never happen, but you know who I think would be a perfect Barry Allen? He may be a little bit old now, but Andrew Garfield. I think he would, and that's just me.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
I think he would make a good Barry Allen.
How was Under the Silver Lake?
He's sort of freaking amazing. So weird. So strange. Loved it.
Because there's an app in the UK which is called, I think it's called Movie.
Yeah, you can watch it there now.
Yeah. So, I already watched it. I already watched it ages ago. Because it was already released in America. I think it was really because it was at what festival was it at in America last year? Because it was on there, and then I saw it online, and then that's how I watched Under the Silver Lake. I think I watched it about December time. I loved it as well.
Yeah,
it's great. I love it.
There's currently a free trial going on for this app, and because that movie's now
on there, really good. I highly recommend.
Yeah, great.
I've got a free trial for this app, so I'm gonna go and watch it.
Yeah, it's really out there. It's definitely not like your normal kind of film, but I absolutely adore it. Usually those kind of films, I kind of turn around and I'm like, But I think everything about it's just got that something about it that works. I think Andrew Garfield in it is fantastic. I think it's one of his best performances.
He just kills it in it, and Andrew just kills it in every film.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah, he's a fantastic actor. I'd be down for that. I'm trying to think of any more casting choices. Like, do you have any casting choices, Dan, for Flash?
Oh, nah, because you've got me now just thinking of pure Andrew Garfield, and I can't get anything else into my head.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of cool choices they could go for. Like, if they wanted to focus on like some younger actors and things like that, there's a lot of like good young talent out there who they could get for this. So, you know, I think, like I say, I think they're really hard at just rebooting the whole DCEU. You know, with the Batman news and things like that, going for a younger Batman, whether it's a prequel or not. I think honestly they should just go for younger Batman and just go for it. And again, just go with this reboot. Like, keep what you want to keep. You know, keep Aquaman if you want. Obviously, they're going to keep Aquaman. Obviously, they're going to keep Wonder Woman, and then just go from there. I think it's a lot more of a smarter move. So it's all good. Now, Billy Magnuson, who, funny enough, was also a star of Game Night. He is in. Well, he's actually now been officially cast in Bond 25. No official wording on his role yet, but he has now been added to the cast alongside Daniel Craig and also the other, regulars, and potentially Rami Malek as well, if that eventually comes through. But what do you guys think? Who do you think he's going to be playing?
Just like some guy in the background. To be honest, he is in every single fucking film I watch. Like he's like Tom Hollander. Like, you know him, right? He's in like Bohemian Rhapsody and stuff. They're in like every film. They're always in the background. So I reckon one day he's going to, But yeah, so I reckon he would just be in the background like a sort of sidekick or something.
Yeah.
Also, he was in Velvet Buzzsaw recently, which was a shit film. But then, and then he's in Aladdin. He's playing the prince, not the prince. Yeah, the prince from the other nation. I forgot what his name is. So he's in like every film. But yeah, I reckon he'll just be in the background somewhere.
I think I'm a big Bond fan, and I'm really excited about Bond 25, just because I do want to see how they end off Daniel Craig's kind of, story as Bond, especially because Daniel Craig's Bond has been so standalone. Like, it felt like Casino Royale felt like a reboot. So I'm interested to see where this goes. This casting choice for me is fine. Like, I don't think it's going to be any like substantial role.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be very disappointed if he was the big bad, just because.
Yeah,
you need someone.
I really want to see Rami Malek in this role.
Yeah,
I think that'd be so interesting. It may not be good.
I really don't care about that.
So that's the thing. I don't necessarily think it'd be that good. I just want to see it. Like, I
just don't see him as a villain.
No,
I don't see Rami as a villain, and I don't see Billy as a villain either.
No, he's far too likable to be a villain.
Yeah.
But for me, I just think that this news, it could go either way. It just depends on how big his role is. I doubt he'd be, because the thing is, I can't even imagine him being like, because every Bond villain has like a henchman, like a big henchman, and this guy is not going to be that. So I thought like maybe could he be playing someone like Q, but obviously they've got Q, Ben Whishaw, who's fantastic as Q. I love him.
He's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Like when he was introduced in Skyfall, I fell in love with him. I thought it was great. And he's obviously had a great career since then. So I don't know who this guy's gonna be playing, but he's a great actor. He's really funny. I loved him in Game Night, so I think this is gonna be a great choice. And finally, the final piece of news, I had to chuck this in because my fanboyisms are coming through and I couldn't resist myself. We got a whole bunch of news regarding to the Transformers cinematic universe. Shut up.
God's sake.
No, this is great news.
Oh, my
wonderful
word.
Success of Bumblebee. The Transformers movies are on a resurgence. They're coming back, boys. So, first off, we have a Bumblebee sequel is officially in development. I mean, this wasn't exactly a big surprise. We all knew this was kind of coming. But it's officially happening now. It's officially in development. And best of all, it's going to be a buddy cop movie starring Bumblebee and Optimus Prime. So the Optimus Prime, obviously he did show up at the end of Bumblebee. We got him in his incredible 1980s G1 truck form. We got to see him hanging out with Bumblebee. This is a great idea. I can't wait to see this. Get Travis Knight back to direct it. Get Haley Steinfeld back. She's the most beautiful girl in the world. And we can just have all these incredible, beautiful things.
Oh my god.
But what do you think about Bumblebee 2 news? Because I know you're all going to love it.
No.
Oh god, this man.
Get hyped.
Can someone just shut him up about Bumblebee, please?
Bumblebee was the best film of 2018.
Look, Bumblebee was great. Bumblebee was very good. I am looking forward to a sequel just because. I might give this man stick for how much he fanboys over it, but I can't deny it is a really good film, and I am excited for a sequel. And yeah, the idea of having it being like kind of this, buddy cop film, Optimus Prime.
Question is,
Yeah.
will they give Bumblebee his voice back?
Maybe.
Because that'll be weird. I think if they have Bumblebee,
No.
but because it's so weird because they haven't they have kind of said that Bumblebee was a reboot, but then
Yeah, that's what I was thinking because it's like if it's meant,
things.
yeah.
Because at the end of Bumblebee, obviously he loses his voice in Bumblebee, and that technically lines up with the Bay films. And also there's another piece of news we'll discuss in a minute, which also kind of contradicts the reboot thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be interesting. I just think doing this buddy cop movie is a great idea, especially because another piece of news that came out is that supposedly the Optimus Prime solo movie that was rumored has been shelved. So what are your thoughts, Ben?
Well, I liked Bumblebee. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very touching. It was the best made Transformers film, but I didn't really care for it all too much.
Go.
But I actually like the Transformers films probably a bit more because I just enjoy the explosions and so on. They're really shit. There's a few of them that I like. I'm excited for it because I love the original cartoon and I liked Bumblebee. I enjoy the Transformers film, so excited, but also I was expecting it, definitely. I wasn't surprised, basically.
I'm just salivating right now. I'm just I'm so I'm a complete Transformers fanboy. I understand that.
You don't say.
I love the Bay films. I don't even care.
God.
But
no.
Just the fact, but Bumblebee to me was so special because it was just like a movie I watched where I was just crying from happiness because of how good it was. Just the opening 5 minutes on Cybertron had me bloody crying. But the other piece of news that was interesting is that Lorenzo de Bonaventura, who is kind of the spearhead over at Paramount at doing the Transformers universe, he said that there is a sequel that is going to be following Transformers: The Last Night, which is also currently in the works. Now, he says that it's the next film in the family of Transformers movies. Now, I don't necessarily believe that this film is a sequel to The Last Night. I think that this movie is going to be either standalone and is going to be its own thing. And when he says part of the family of Transformers movies, he just means, part of the mainline Transformers franchise. Or it could be taking the characters we've been used to, such as Prime, Bumblebee, Hound, Crosshairs, and Drift, potentially Hot Rod as well, and just completely going into the next thing. Because Lorenzo de Bonaventura, who had all this news, he said a while ago that that they would never do Unicron because it's too big, which I agree. Unicron is huge. That is a massive thing, not only in terms of the franchise, but also in terms of CGI. It would be insanely expensive to do, and just incredibly difficult to do. I don't know if you guys know who Unicron is, but he's a transforming planet, right? That's massive. I mean, I'm sure Bay would love to have a go at it, but they shouldn't let him, right? So I feel and at the end of The Last Night, that's what they set up. So I don't feel like this next film is going to be a sequel to The Last Night. I think it's going to be something a bit different and a bit more standalone, which I think fans will be a lot more better about. And obviously, there's still no word about who the director for that is, if Bay will come back. I really hope he doesn't. I don't think he will. I really think he is done. I mean, I know he said it.
Hang on, you were singing this man's praises 5 minutes ago, and now you're just like, oh, I don't want him back.
No, I like it. I like the Transformers movies. I have no doubt in saying that. But the proof is in the pudding. Bumblebee, the one movie he didn't direct, was actually good. But I feel like that this new film. I mean, I would love to see Transformers 6 because again, I love these films. I would love to see a Transformers 6. But I would much rather see a complete flat reboot. What I would love to see is a Transformers movie, where you have a big cast of Transformers in the style of Bumblebee. That's what I want to see. Especially because at the end of Bumblebee they had all the meteors coming down and things like that. The other Transformers arriving, potentially see a comic, like an actual really good cartoon accurate representation of Ironhide and Ratchet, potentially Jazz as well, where they don't kill him in the first movie. So I think that this is a really exciting time, especially for me. But do you guys have any other thoughts?
God, not really, because it's Transformers.
I would say I'm actually probably more excited for this Transformers film, honestly, than the Bumblebee sequel, because I don't think they'll bring Michael Bay back. I don't think they should. I think they should get someone else and, make a good Optimus Prime sort of Transformer film. That's what, to be honest, what I mainly care about is Optimus Prime. So I would like to see that, probably a bit more than Bumblebee too, but if it was like a good director, I would be even more excited. But yeah, I don't know. I have this weird relationship with Transformers where I like some of them, really enjoy some, and some are just like, ugh. And I'm excited.
I mean, there was actually a rumor a while ago that there was a film called Transformers One in the works, which was a animated Cybertron prequel. I would bloody love to see that. Like, again, I don't know if I'd like to see it in animation, but the style of like CGI that they did for Bumblebee in that opening 5 minutes, a whole movie of that, like War for Cybertron, based on the video games, would be incredible. Now, what also is important to note is it was announced like a month ago that there is a Netflix Cybertron series coming out. And I feel like those plans for that Transformers 1 movie have just merged into that. Which, I mean, again, I'm so hyped for that beyond all belief. But either way, this news, I just wanted to put it in because I wanted to talk about it. I thought it was awesome. These movies are incredible. You're all wrong. Anyway, moving on.
No,
Moving
fanboy.
on to the review of the week, we have Captain Marvel. Of course, this is coming out from Marvel Studios and Disney. This is directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, starring Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, who has been stuck in space working for the Star Force, does not remember her past, but after a special arrival to Earth, she starts to uncover her past, and things are not quite as she thought they were. So, I'll start off with you, Ben. What were your thoughts on Captain Marvel?
So I thought Captain Marvel was great. I absolutely loved it, and I thought it was hysterical. I caught myself laughing throughout the whole film. I really liked how they sort of went for the humor. I know it's not along the same lines as, say, Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I really appreciated because it was like full-on humor, like it was like just a comedy, and I liked how dedicated they were. And I thought Brie Larson was perfect. Honestly, I think I couldn't imagine anyone else as Captain Marvel, and her humor and her personality was so quirky, so weird, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I was really sort of invested into this world. I've seen it twice actually, and the film's colors are really good. They're really nice. There's some really nicely shot scenes. It's sort of just this nice big spectacle that also has these moments of down to earth. Like if you remember the scene when they're on, it's on the grass and, she's getting this reveal or whatever with the scrolls. And it's just some of the scenes are really, really nicely shot. And I thought the film as a whole, and I didn't think it had like the CGI problems of like, say, a Black Panther had, or even like Ant-Man and the Wasp for the minimal parts that had CGI. And so I thought it was just a really, really solid film. I really, really liked it, and it's one of my favorite Marvel films for sure.
And on the contrary,
Oh, I feel really bad for saying this now. that's probably Ben's like review on it has probably swayed me now because I'm now feeling bad for it.
Hey, you're never normally sympathetic. You're never like this with me. You never like this with me. Don't start changing your mind. Now we have a guest.
You're different. You're Transformers fanboy. That eradicates any sense of forgiveness I have for you. All right, but no, for me with Captain Marvel, look, this is not a bad movie. Like what a lot of idiots online will tell you, oh, it's the worst film ever made. No, it isn't. However, I'm being honest. I found this movie really disappointing. It's not bad. It is watchable. I was entertained by it in spurts. I think my favourite parts about the film were probably the performances. In particular, for me, I really liked Samuel Jackson as a younger Nick Fury. I really loved seeing him back, just because it was a different side of the character. Because you see him as kind of like he's not as big an authority figure as he is. When we see him later down in the MCU, I really like seeing that about him and kind of him being exposed to the cosmic side of the MCU for the first time. I thought was really, really cool. I've just loved him in that. And the de-aging effects, they were the best effects of the film for me. The de-aging on him, I didn't notice it at all. Like, it was honestly mind-blowing. Like, how they were able to de-age someone for an entire film and just make it look just blend in so well that you don't notice it is fantastic. Like, it blew me away. I really liked Ben Mendelsohn in the film as the villain. Oh my god. Honestly, like, because the thing was with the trailers, I didn't think he would be that good in the film. They didn't really show off much of his comedic side. And because Ben Mendelsohn's kind of had this rep for the last few years of just playing bad guys, I was just, it's just another Ben Mendelsohn role. But watching the film is a completely different thing. He had me in stitches during most of the film. He was amazing. He was so funny. I think it's just the fact that he let him use his Aussie accent. That's what does it for me.
That's
his normal voice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like I heard that, and it's just like, oh, I'm automatically sold. And then just the entire film, for me, he stole the film. He was just, oh my god, like I wouldn't say he's like villains. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, I wouldn't say he's like one of the top tier Marvel villains, but in terms of just from a performance standpoint, I'd put him up there. Like, just because he was so memorable, just for this so many like lines that he had that just made me laugh. Like, I loved that. But literally for me, other than the performances and a few of the action sequences, I just found the rest of the film to not engage me that much. Like, the only action sequence where I was like, oh, really, really enjoyed it was probably the one in the first act where she's got the bracelets on her and she has to, fight her way through all these people. That was the best action sequence in the film for me. Apart from that, the rest of it was just, you could watch it and be like, oh, I'm entertained, but I didn't really find it that memorable walking out of the cinema. There was one in particular I remember. I can't remember what it was in the film, but it's one where it's lit so dark and I couldn't tell who was fighting, who was meant to be what person. I don't know whether they did that because the stunt work was terrible or whatever, but it's stuff like that bugged me. Captain Marvel as a protagonist, Carol Danvers, I'm being honest now, I'm just going to say this. I think she's one of the worst developed protagonists in the Marvel films. Nothing to do with Brie Larson. I think she does fine with what she's given, but I just think the character of Carol Danvers, she didn't go on enough of an arc for me personally. I just didn't feel like she changed that much by the end of the film. She kind of started and ended as the same person for me. Yeah, there were scenes where it's like, oh, she's finding out things about her past, but they're showing in like these montages where it's just like, oh, 2-second clips. I would have liked to have seen more of that. Just actually let us go in depth on a flashback, give us some development of a character. But they don't. They just skim through them all. They skim all that potential. So we don't really get a feeling of what drives her, what she aspires to be. So that was really irritating to me. I didn't particularly think the directional cinematography was that great. It felt a bit bland. It really felt like anybody could have directed this. It didn't really feel all that different to any of the other MCU films, apart from the fact that it took place in space, which in of itself isn't that special because, you've got films like Guardians of the Galaxy that do that. The tone was a bit all over the place as well because it's like one moment it's like a Guardians of the Galaxy ripoff. One moment it's, trying to be this like 90s nostalgia thing, then it's a buddy cop film. It was just, you could see why they're doing it because obviously, they've got these different things at play, but it just didn't work for me. And I think at the end of the day, I just think this film had too much to do. Like, it had to be a prequel. It had to, set up a lot of elements for the MCU. It had to set up show off a younger Nick Fury. I just think there was too much on this film's plate. And the fact there's like 5 people writing the screenplay, there's 2 people directing it, it's just... I certainly wouldn't turn around and say, oh, don't watch the film. I definitely say go in there, make your own opinion. It's just, for me, I just expected more from a Marvel film, and I just came up disappointed.
So I fall kind of somewhere in the middle. I definitely liked the movie overall. I thought it was a lot of fun. I was very entertained throughout the whole thing. Brie Larson, I think, is very good in the movie. I think the problem doesn't necessarily come from her performance, but the delivery.
No, yeah.
And her character has no arc. But I think like it's the delivery of her lines. Like everything's delivered in the very same way, where it kind of starts like this and then ends like that. Like it's very like it's kind of one note in a way.
Yeah, I can see what people mean by like saying, "Oh, it's a subdued performance," which I can sort of understand. But even with that, you've got like a protagonist such as T'Challa in Black Panther. A very subdued character. He doesn't really spend like half of the movie telling jokes. He's a very subdued character, but even in that film, he goes for an arc, and you feel that within the performance by Chadwick Boseman. With Brie Larson, if there was one thing I could criticize about it, it was just that I didn't really feel like she changed, from an acting standpoint to show that change in character. But again, I more or less put that down to the script for not actually doing that in the first place.
Yeah, because like such as like the moment when obviously kind of like the big twist is revealed that the Krees are actually the bad guys,
Yeah,
which was a great twist by the way. I thought that was brilliant. Like I
yeah,
did not see that coming at all.
yeah,
Oh,
Based
yeah.
on the comics, but like I felt like maybe there should have been more of an emotional reaction that there's people who basically in her eyes saved her life and who she spent all these years with training with. And I think again a problem with that comes down to the fact we spent no time with the Star Force
yeah,
really. Like
yes,
Jude Law we got a bit with, and I think Jude Law's very good in this movie as well. I
yeah,
think he was
he's
used very
really
well
good.
here. But like the other members like Gemma Chan and things like that just not very focused on,
Yeah,
so we didn't really feel
yeah,
that
yeah,
bond or that connection. And I feel like that big reveal moment was a bit less impactful because we didn't get that kind of
yeah,
reaction. But other performances, like Sam Jackson, brilliant as always as Nick Fury, and that de-aging technology was basically flawless in this movie. I think this was the best use of it, especially because this is done throughout the entire film. It wasn't just one scene. Like in a lot of other Marvel films, obviously it's only just been one scene, but here this was the entire movie, and also Clark Gregg as well as Coulson.
oh yeah,
I don't watch Agents of Shield, so I haven't seen Coulson since he died in the Avengers, and I've really missed him. It was great to have him here. And then, like I said, Jude Law I thought was great. Lashana Lynch I think was another great standout as Monica Rambeau. I thought she was brilliant, really great. I did actually feel the kind of companionship between her and Carol in this movie. I liked her character a lot as well. And yeah, definitely for me, standout performance Ben Mendelsohn for sure. Just brilliant. Like I think Aussie humor is so funny. I
oh
love
yeah,
Australian accents. Like honestly, him having the accent made it just a million times better than it ever could have been. And just like, cause it's
Yeah.
so weird. You have this like weird, green alien talking in an Australian accent. It shouldn't work, but it does, and it works on so many levels for me. And just seeing him, his humor was on point. I found him really funny. And again, I wouldn't exactly put him as like a top tier Marvel villain, like you say, Dan. But just again, purely from a performance standpoint, it's one of the most memorable. In terms of like his motivation and things like, I mean, he's no Thanos, he's no Killmonger, but again, performance wise, he's kind of up there with like Tom Hiddleston and Josh Brolin. He's just so brilliant and just so well handled. And
Yeah.
then like the action and things like that, which the action was fine. I think it was just kind of average. The action I really did enjoy were all the flight sequences, like in the jets and in the planes and stuff like that, because that's something we haven't really seen in a Marvel movie before. That was really cool. It reminded me a little bit of Top Gun, which is one of my favorite films of all time. I love all that. So getting those kind of flight sequences in the jets, really exciting. Especially like that scene when you have her and also Marvel in the jet when it's going down. Great scene. That was really well done. Also, that Marvel twist was really good as well. I didn't see that coming at all. The fact Annette Bening was playing Marvel, that was really cool.
I had
Um,
no idea.
yeah, that was great. And I think the visuals were good overall for the movie as well. I think, although the movie is a bit flat looking, but I don't even criticize necessarily Captain Marvel for that. That's a Marvel film problem on the whole.
It's
Um,
nowhere near as flat as like Civil War or anything.
No, but I feel like I think every Marvel film just has this problem. Any
yeah.
any movie post Avengers has this problem, where every movie just has like this very flat color palette. But I think Captain Marvel is kind of in the same ranks as say something like Infinity War or Thor Ragnarok, where it was kind of able to kind of rise above that a little bit,
Yeah.
with its stuff. But there are like a few dodgy shots in the CGI, like
Yeah,
especially that one shot where Carol's falling through the
yeah.
sky
That
is not
you could
great.
tell. You could tell with the background. It's just
Yeah,
no.
it didn't look great. And also for me, I found like a couple of continuity errors, which is
Oh yeah.
a bit annoying because this movie does take place in the 90s. Like Shield wasn't Shield established, like the name of it established in Iron Man 2.
No.
I'm pretty sure it was. Like I'm pretty sure Coulson said in Iron Man 2 like we need to come up with a name for it. Like we need to come up with an acronym.
Mm.
but then in this movie it was already called Shield. Like I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that they named it officially in Iron Man 2. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure on that one. But overall, I had a lot of fun with Captain Marvel. I thought I thought it was a blast. Seeing it in IMAX 3D, it was a great IMAX experience. I think the 3D was great. And I'm not a big fan of 3D, but I think it did enhance this movie. Like 3D can destroy movies for me. Like I think Black Panther was terrible in 3D. I'm not gonna
Oh
lie.
yeah.
I thought Black Panther was dreadful. Like you know the opening scene in Black Panther where they attack the convoy. It was so dark, and with the dark tinted glasses, I didn't actually see that scene the first time I watched the movie. I couldn't see the screen. But I think the movie was really fun. I think performances are great on the whole, and although it does definitely have some issues, I think in terms of like I don't know where I'd put it overall in my ranking of the MCU, but it probably rests somewhere in the middle. It's good. It's a good time. It's just not. I wouldn't say it's a top tier Marvel movie.
Yeah. If I were going to rank it, I'd probably put it. For me, it'd probably be sitting somewhere near like middle to bottom half for me. Like it's nowhere near as bad as some of the worse movies like Thor: The Dark World, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3. I don't think it's anywhere near those levels, but I certainly couldn't put it anywhere near the top half for me because I just feel like there's so many other films that just either feel very different in terms of their tone or just feel like are just so much better for me. This, for your first, female-led superhero film, I just feel like it should have had more of an impact than it did for me.
Yeah, it felt a bit. Go on, Ben.
For me, it's definitely up the top. I was ranking the other day, and I think it makes my top 5 actually.
Oh.
I've seen it twice now, so I've had time to think about it, and I really liked it.
Well, that's what I mean. I kind of wanted.
Well, my number one pick is even more funny.
Yeah, this
my number one pick is.
Oh god,
this is trash.
I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is my favorite.
Oh my word! Again, I think that one is kind of the same category for me as Captain Marvel. I think it's all right, but I didn't think it was that special. It was funny, but I don't know. Oh, I've never actually heard anybody put Ant-Man and the Wasp that high. Wow.
I can't even speak. I'm just recovering from those shots.
Wow.
I just love it so much.
I'm sorry, Ben. I appreciate different opinions, but that is a trash opinion. That is dreadful. Like that is up there with my liking of the Transformers movie.
Hey, I wouldn't go that far. That is something else.
Damn. Even
now
Dan's coming around.
I have to say, for me, probably my favorite still to this day is Winter Soldier. That still is my favorite, just because
I think that's the best, objectively.
That's my third. That's my third favorite.
I just love that one because of this like more realistic tone that the Russo brothers brought to everything. They made Captain America from like this joke character into someone that I actually really loved. I think the villains are fantastic. I love the action in it. It's fantastic to look at, and I think everybody gets on the quick cut editing and the shaky cam, but for me, it didn't bother me because they actually bothered to put in establishing shots to show what was happening, like good wide shots, unlike most films where it's just like cut edit, because the actors can't perform their own stunts. Like,
oh god, have you seen that film recently? What was that? That shitty action film, Mile
22.
Oh my god, I watched like the first 10 minutes and I had to turn it off. My eyes were hurting.
That was one of the that's probably one of the worst films I've ever seen for quick cut editing. It's terrible. I'd argue it's worse than the Taken films. Like I remember, I watched it with my
like Taken. Yeah,
I watched it with my dad, and I remember, I think by the time he got like to the first action sequence, the amount of cuts he saw, he actually just got up and walked out the cinema. He just left me in there. He's like, I can't deal with this, so he just walks out. I sit there, I go through the entire film, I walk out, and honestly, I had to wash my eyes afterwards because I couldn't handle the amount of cuts in it, man. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it hurt my brain, that movie. Like it actually hurt to watch sometimes. And then I'll just say quickly, my favorite Marvel movie, Spider-Man: Homecoming, and I don't think that needs justifying. Anyway, also we had the post-credit scenes as well. The second post-credit scene obviously was just a joke, as it normally is.
Yeah.
The mid-credits thing was, let's just say I had to hold in my scream. I mean,
that was so cool.
When the camera panned up, obviously we saw the beeper, and I thought, okay, that's cool. And then I saw Cap. Oh, oh,
But you got excited at that bit. I got excited when Captain Marvel turned up.
Nah.
well, I mean, that was obviously something else, but I'm talking
Yeah.
about like the first thing, like, because I saw the the beeper that Nick Fury had in Infinity War, and I thought, okay, that's cool. And then I was like, where's this going? And then just seeing Cap, like seeing Chris Evans, seeing the beard, I started freaking out. And then see like the fact that all the Avengers were in this, I was like, that's crazy. And then obviously Captain Marvel just shows up, and then it's just I love her reaction just straight. It's just, where's Fury? Like, I like the fact that she has just that immediate reaction, and that because I do feel like they in Captain Marvel they really did establish a good care, like a caring
Yeah.
nature between Captain Marvel and Nick Fury. So the fact that she first arrives and her first question is, where's Fury? I like that a lot. But I'm looking at this. This has got to be a scene out of Endgame, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is a
But they
Civil
won't
War
put it in.
situation.
Surely they won't put it in.
What, you don't think this is?
Oh, I think they shot it from Endgame, but meaning for it to be a post-credit scene. I doubt they'll put that in the film.
I don't know. It feels very like the Civil War one to me. Like, do you remember the post-credit scene in Ant-Man? Where
Yeah.
it was like a scene from Civil War. I think it feels very like that to me because I don't buy the fact that like they got all the Avengers for this, and also the fact like we've seen that now, we've seen the Endgame trailer where Captain Marvel's in it. It seems very very like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just think they probably shot this when they shot, because remember they shot Avengers Endgame at the same time they did Infinity War, so that's just before they started shooting Captain Marvel, right? Or
Yeah.
around the same time. So I think it's sort of just lined up, I reckon. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean potentially. I mean it might be interesting to see like where they follow on from that scene, like when she says where's Fury, like where's that going to go? But I think I personally think this is a scene from Endgame. But I think it could be really awesome. But just this post-credit scene, like I thought it was awesome. What did you think, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, if they were going to show anything in these post-credit scenes from the game, I would stand up to Captain America and just showing all the rest of the Avengers. I was just like, oh wow, they actually are. It was like, oh, it's so good. And then then they turn around and obviously Captain Marvel's there. It was so good. Like I say, I think this probably will be included in the film. It's just I think obviously you'll get the extension to it. Obviously, you'll get to see her reaction to finding out what happened to Nick Fury and what's happened to the world. So I do think this will probably be included in the film. I'm probably like 90% sure because, like you said, I think it's very much a case of what they did with the Ant-Man post-credit scene, where it basically led into Captain America: Civil War, and that same scene was in the film. I think this will be the exact same thing. But I was, like you say, I just watched this and I was just trying to not squeal in excitement because it was just, it was so good.
I saw Cap. I just
Yeah.
freaked out because I didn't expect that. Like I expected an Endgame tie-in, but I didn't
Yeah.
expect that. Like I didn't expect all the Avengers to be there. And it just added again to that little Marvel magic, that feeling that these Marvel films can give you. Just the crossovers and the connectivity and all that. It was just really awesome. It does kind of beg the question as to why has Nick Fury never called Captain Marvel before? Like before all this, like what was considered? Because like Carol says to him before she leaves, like this is only for emergencies. Like what's considered an emergency? Like an alien force invading the Earth and the Avengers, a massive Ultron army. I don't know, but anyway, awesome post-credit scene, and yeah, I think overall Captain Marvel, it's a decent film. It's not one of Marvel's best. So anyway, that does draw this episode of Real Movie Talk to a close. If you did enjoy this episode, make sure you do share it around with any other movie fans you think may enjoy this content. Make sure you give this podcast a like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss an upload. And also, let's give a good thank you to Dan for joining us this week. Thank you, brother, for coming on.
Well, thank you.
No worries, you're welcome on here anytime. And also, thank you to Ben as well for being here as always. And we hope to see you guys again next time.